Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the 10th episode of Cricket Spectacle. I'm Sidharth Gulati, and as always, I have with me Nikhil Deshpande. Also, we have a special guest who has joined us from Kolkata. Please welcome Sandipan Banerjee, an independent cricket journalist, a YouTuber, and a passionate traveler. Sandipan, it's good to have you.
Yeah, I was flattered by the introduction, especially the word traveler you used. I think you have seen on my Instagram profile.
I've
Yes,
seen your
of course,
YouTube
of
channel
course.
also, and it's pretty good,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would say. Yeah.
How has
Trying
that
to
been
build.
impacted, Sandipan, since the last year? How badly do you miss traveling though, since
Oh
2020
no,
has hit
I
the
have
world?
like my last tour was in New Zealand. So
Oh,
since
is it? Oh,
then,
okay.
I mean, outside India, I think in India I covered what the two test matches in Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
But hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully things will be better in our country probably within next 6 months, and we'll be able to cover the World T20.
And before we move on, so I would like to tell my viewers that before I got to know about Marco Jensen, who was being picked by Mumbai Indians in the IPL, I got to know about him through Sandipan's story earlier.
Yeah,
It's true
so
story
it
for
was a
everybody.
funny
Yes.
incident. Yeah, actually we were covering the South Africa tour in 2018, and there's a test match at Wanderers. So prior to the test match, I guess on the one of the practice days, I saw a young 17-year-old and left arm pacer. He was bowling beautifully. I think both brothers, Marco and Duan, they are twin brothers.
Yeah.
Both of them are bowling beautifully, and actually I have seen one of them have cleaned up Virat Kohli's off stump, and so I guess then the entire media focused actually on those two. Then their father was present there, so we had a. Then he said that these guys are very much fond of Virat Kohli. In fact, Rahul Dravid, before that, Rahul Dravid praised those brothers. So yeah, I mean, actually
Is the other guy also a bowler?
yeah, both of them are all rounders.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
More
that.
or less bowling all rounders. More or less
Are they
bowling.
are they both tall though? That's the important question. Are they equally tall?
They are.
Yes, yes,
They are equally tall. Yes, yes,
yes.
yes.
Uh,
So
All
if
right.
you see the earliest picture of the brothers on doing around on social media, that picture was actually clicked by me. I wrote that story for first post,
Yes.
and that was a very popular story. So yeah.
Indeed, it was. Yes. All right, all right. So, Sandeepan, to start off, how is everyone in your family? How difficult it has been for you to deal with this situation?
It is difficult. I know so far I know that my family so far is safe, but the reports we are getting from everywhere, greater family, maybe friends in the fraternity, that we lost a very good journalist friend of ours, Ruchir Mishra, a few days back. There's a very unfortunate incident.
It's yet to
Also
sink
in the
in.
greater, yeah, yet to sink in actually. He was a brilliant journalist. So overall, these are very tough times, both physically and mentally.
Yeah. And Nikhil, how is your family keeping up?
yeah, they're keeping up safe for now, so that's a good thing. I call up every day just to check up so that they are doing well, and it's a it's a very tough time for everyone, right? Like even if you're there, you're like I'm outside India, but still it's still I'm physically here, probably mentally my mind is still
Yeah.
there, and we're still thinking about those people. And it's just overall the whole situation is pretty bad. Hopefully the things get better in the months to come. Now with the lockdown, I hope the numbers will come down and people will get the facilities. And again, once again would like to, whoever is watching this, if you are watching, please stay safe. Make sure that your family members are also staying safe and everyone around you. It's not just you, it's you're taking care of everyone. So it's your responsibility, and it's your responsibility towards someone else who might not be able to fight the virus as much as you could. So please keep a overarching approach about, or like a humane approach, like a humanity side of things. Just think about what's happening, and please just be safe. That's all.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely. I hope Siddharth, at your end, everything is all right.
Yeah, so far so good, and I hope it stays that way. And luckily, my parents have been vaccinated, so I am not
Oh, okay.
I'm actually not worried, on that side of things. But yeah, I think
Mm,
now it's my turn now to, get
mm.
vaccinated, and my brother and the other people who are in my family. So yeah, that is the only thing that we are looking forward to, and I hope, we get vaccinated soon.
Yeah. Have they
Hopefully,
started
hopefully, yes.
the process in
Yes,
India
yes.
Yes, they
for
have.
every all the age groups? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
Yeah. All right
that's
then.
pretty good. Yeah.
Let's just shift our discussion to cricket. So Sandeep, I'm going to start with you. So in one of our earlier episodes, even before the start of the Indian Premier League, we discussed whether the BCCI got a tad too ambitious by announcing 6 venues for this season. Yes,
Mm,
the situation was a bit under control a couple of months
mm,
back, but
mm,
there was always the fear of the second wave. And to be
mm.
realistic, our worst fear has come true. The tournament is now postponed, and reportedly, there weren't any cases of protocol breach. The cases emerged inside the strict bubbles within days of the teams' travel from Chennai and Mumbai to Delhi and Hyderabad. So, Sandeepan, what do you make of this situation? And in hindsight, do you think was there an error in judgment?
I don't think so, Siddharth. First of all, when they announced this, the decision of hosting the entire tournament in 6 venues,
Yeah,
look at the situation. We had in the England series was going on. We had crowd through for the major part of the series.
yeah,
Actually, we are in Ahmedabad, so the media were covering the matches from the venue. Um, you know, at under control. So
yeah,
nobody expected that. Yes, there was a fear of second wave, but still, BCCI actually, what happened? BCCI wanted to host the entire tournament initially in one city, which was
yeah,
Mm.
Mumbai,
yes,
and
Mumbai.
in 3-4 venues. But at that point, did not want to take risk. They feared that if infection rates go higher in a city like Mumbai, they don't have any backup option.
yeah,
That's
Mm.
why they shifted the entire tournament in caravan ways to 6 venues.
yes,
But again, that decision backfired, I know. But from their end, BCCI were very, 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 very. I think they took the right call at that point. You even at that point when we were covering the international matches, media were told that they will not be allowed to cover the IPL games from the venue. So
yes,
they were taking all kind of precautions. But who would have thought that our country will see this kind of an scenario? So
absolutely.
as time went down, the things got out of control of the BCCI.
Yeah, absolutely. Nikhil, your
So
thoughts? Okay,
if you ask me, I won't blame BCCI blatantly for this.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
I probably agree with what Sandeepan said as well. So because we are in a time right now, like we literally don't know what's going to happen next month,
Yes,
let alone next week. We don't know what's going to happen 2 weeks from now. So you can only take a decision based on what you know in terms of information right now.
Yeah.
So I think I've mentioned it earlier on the show as well that
yes,
there can be some elements of predictions or a forecast of what's going to
Mm.
happen, but I don't think anyone saw the spike to be that
Yeah,
steep, right? Like it
absolutely.
could have been a gradual change, and in
Yes.
that case,
Mm.
if you think about it, the system of 6 venues could have actually worked in BCCI's favor. Let's
yeah,
Yeah.
say if the spike was only in Mumbai, because they have moved
Mm.
out of it, and now you are in Ahmedabad and you are in Delhi. But if everything happens simultaneously in different places, then you could point a finger and say that why did you do this? But
yeah,
it's a retrospective thing, right? You can't be looking back and taking decisions.
Yeah.
If BCCI was told this is going to happen, they obviously would not have done it. So
yes,
there's no point blaming them for it. But it's a sad thing for cricket fans probably that it's happened.
Yeah.
I think I discussed it with a few of my friends as well, like what could have been done differently. I think the only thing which could have been done differently was that uh, as a precaution, they could have just repeated what they did last year and went to UAE and had the tournament.
yeah,
That's the only 100% safe option probably which could have happened, because that was done last year. They could have repeated it, but then
Mm.
again, it's again retrospective thinking, right? If they knew, they would have done it. Now that they know this, they could probably be looking at the World Cup being pushed to UAE. And that's probably the right decision. And they know the information and they'll do it. But yeah, again, not to, you can't blame anyone. And yeah, it's just the situation. It is what it is.
I mean, BCCI actually wanted to show the world that after COVID, we were prepared to host the World Cup in India. And that's why hosting IPL was important. And not only just IPL, even in the foreign teams for bilateral cricket also, India were BCCI needed to needed to host this IPL safely to put up a strong statement. I think that's why they did it.
That's and the England tournament went well as well, right? So there's proof that it could have worked. It's not like they were just giving it a trial or something on those lines.
Before the England series, we had domestic cricket. We had Vijay Hazare, we had Syed Mustaq Ali on multiple venues,
and all in bubbles as well. So in those,
not a single case,
not a single case. So So in fact, if you look back now, you would think that this was the best possible plan of action based on what we had seen very recently. So it's really hard now that you said this. Now I'm also thinking that's probably not even up for blaming BCCI. It's probably the right call. So
I think there's this one thing that I said on one of our earlier episodes, that I was also in favor of having 6 venues. It's fine, there's nothing wrong with that, because the cases weren't that much at that particular point in time. But my only argument was that the more the exposure, the more are the chances of you getting infected. The point is this, you can take all the precautions, but even even if after you reach one venue, you get your test done, and still you can test positive without any symptoms. So my only point was that it's better to have IPL in one particular city. Let's say Sandipan, you talked about Mumbai. So you had 3 stadiums: Wankhede, DY Patil, and Brabant.
There's also Reliance Stadium they prepared for it.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that could have been a very stricter yet effective biobubble. And that is where I think I'm pretty much sure that if, let's say in hindsight, if I have to say that if the IPL was to be held in Mumbai only, I'm not saying this with 100% guarantee, but who knows, we might not have had these many cases, because the bubble would have been pretty effective. There wouldn't have been any flight traveling apart from the buses, bus travel from from stadium to the hotel.
Actually that's what happened in UAE last year. So during the tournament there was no air travel involved, right? So once the teams landed in the UAE, they were based in specific. Actually, another thing, what happened? Most of the teams went for booking the entire resort for their franchisee. Whereas in this time, they created bubbles in some particular floors in some of the hotels. For example, Delhi teams are staying at ITC Moria. So probably the 2 floors were in the bubble, but the rest of the hotel is not under the bubble. But that did not happen in the UAE. The franchises booked entire, facilities, most of the resorts, and they travel to the venues through their. There is no air travel involved during the tournament. So that's why we did not see a single case of infection during the event. We know that we saw Deepak Chahar and Rituraj got infected, but that was before the start of the tournament.
Absolutely.
So obviously, if you in a country like India, vast country like India, you cannot, if you want to have multiple venues in other cities, you cannot involve the air travel needs to be involved, and that is the risky part. Irrespective of whether you are traveling by.
It is about minimizing the overall threat, right? Like it's a probability game.
There are some of the reports coming in the media that some of the I think support staff of one particular franchisee travel via normal passenger flight. That is also one reports coming in, and people are also criticizing.
That's also a risk, in the times we live. Actually,
absolutely. When you have chartered flight, why, I don't know what reason they travel with a normal flight.
Correct.
Okay. I mean, if you're going to have like a strict bubble, then you'll need to have a strict bubble, right? You can't just let people go in different batches. Then that's
Exactly.
where the breaches happen. And again, it's not. You can probably take like 100% of your precaution, but it's not. We have learned that it's not something that is can be avoided, even if you
Exactly.
do everything you can, right? So yeah, it's
Absolutely.
and but one question I have for like both of you is that I'll start with Siddharth. There have been breaches in other sports as well, in internationally in other leagues. Like the Premier League had a breach.
Yes,
Like
yes, yes.
there were main players, like Liverpool had like 2-3 players of their being tested positive and stuff, but they continued the matches and they managed to finish the leagues eventually, and
Yeah.
they're still going on as well, some of those leagues. Even NBA did. NBA had a strict bubble and they had few cases initially this season as well. Do you reckon India could have, probably if given like a 2-week gap now, from now till another 2-week gap, and then resumed it, would you think that was possible to complete the IPL, or that was something that the international players would have been against? What do you think
I
was the
think,
thought process behind that?
yeah, I think it wouldn't have been possible to have a 2 week gap and then resume the IPL once again. I think, see, let's be very clear that quite a few international teams, and of course India are included in that list too. They are they have, according to the FTP, they have quite a few series scheduled. Like India are going to travel to England for the WTC final. Then you're going to play a full-fledged test series against England. So the schedule in between is actually packed. I think July was possibly the month in which India had no series, but at the very same time, I think just to let's say if they were to return after the WTC final back to the country, then the IPL would have been completed, and then you'll have to go back to England again for that test series. I think it wouldn't have been possible, specifically with regard to the Indian players, I would say. And I think at the very same time, for the other international teams, it wouldn't have been feasible, because you have all these series scheduled, and this is where I think having an IPL just now, let's say after maybe 2 week or a 3 week gap, wouldn't have been feasible.
Yeah, maybe like shorten the
Also,
tournament. That could have been one option. Like instead of playing each team like 2 times,
Yeah.
maybe they reduce their games by like 3 or 4 and finish at the same time rather than extending it. That was probably one option. But yeah, as you said, it could be that. What do you think, Sandipan? Like how would that could that have worked?
I think a split tournament wouldn't have worked in India, because first of all, July you cannot play cricket because of the monsoon season for the most part of the country. And also, if you travel, then come back, then again there will be quarantine rules and everything. So I don't think it was possible. Probably the only option was, at that point, they could have continued, give it 2 days back, prepare a bubble outside outside the country, and finish those 30 matches. But I guess the foreign players and some of the Indian players were not mentally ready to play any cricket at this point.
Again, the mental aspect is really difficult. Right? It's one thing to be like, it's not a physical thing anymore, because they can be fit, but you look, and that was an argument I think from many people, like how are you playing IPL when the country is suffering?
And also, exactly. I mean, there was a social media outrage already that cancel IPL, and people were speaking up. So there was already pressure on BCCI.
Yeah, and the answer to that was that we are in a bubble, so it's a safe place for these people. But now once you have breaches, now you can't continue, right?
Yeah, the floodgates open, right? Now the floodgates open, and their argument was gone. BCCI's argument was completely gone.
Yeah. And again, the player safety is another thing which is important, both again mentally, physically, and they probably might have been able to fight it much better than the common people. But the mental aspect of it is really hard, right? Like, because see, with Indian players, they are still surrounded, like they have been surrounded by the environment since last year. But few of these people, especially the Australian players, right, things over here in Australia are back to normal. So for them, so it's like there is no, we wear a mask when you go into a train or supermarket or something, but if you're on a street, you probably don't even need to, and most of the people are not even. So it's for them to go from being 100% normal to do India into the bubble, and now that's why Australian players were the two Aussie players. They were the first ones to return as soon as the bubble thing happened as well. The whole situation was worsening. So the mental aspect I can understand. It would have been really bad for them. And again, it's not just a game, right? It's actually millions at stake for many of the franchises. So the one like Warner, for example, and I think we'll get to discussing Warner, but I think Warner is one of the prime examples of how it's not just the physical aspect of it. The mentally he was not 100%. His form was pretty bad. He eventually got dropped, but you have to understand the aspects behind it, right? It's not just not cricket. He came back from an injury. He came back from a place where there's literally nothing in terms of COVID, and he's put back in a bubble, and now he's asked to compete at his level. Because let's face it, Warner didn't do bad by normal standards. He did bad by Warner standards.
Exactly.
So correct. So and then the whole narrative changes and people are like, Warner is playing bad. No, Warner is not playing bad. Warner is playing bad by Warner standards. So that's the problem. And again, so now since we are on Warner, Sidharth, like, would you be in favor of taking him off captaincy and even off the team, given the circumstances and what was going on? And mind you, SRH as a team need to do what's best for the team, right? So were you in favor of the decision of taking Warner out of captaincy and the team?
Absolutely not. See, yes, it can be understood that it's about, finding the right combination. As Tom Moody also said that, you want to play two batsmen, one all-rounder, and Rashid Khan was a certainty. But I think, I don't think it is right to drop a player of such magnitude. I understand the fact that, current form matters a lot in any sport. But, I think that, there was a lot more to his axing. Let me remind both of you that, after the game against Delhi Capitals, Warner had described Manish Pande's omission from the starting 11 as a harsh call by the selectors. So I'm not saying that, I'm pinpointing something towards that statement, but I think we have been associated, in this cricketing field for, I think around for 6 to 8 years now. And Sandipan has been, associated with the game for more than that. And we know that, sometimes there is more to the story that we actually know. We have to sometimes, really read between the lines. And that is where I think that, just on the basis of 5-6 games, I don't think it was right to drop David Warner. But having said that, current form matters a lot in any sport. Sandipan, what do you think of this?
I mean, there's no point of dropping David Warner. Look at his performance and look at the performance of the team under his captaincy. Okay, fine. He, as a player, he might fade, though he wasn't. He was just scoring. His strike rate was not up to the mark. That was the only issue. But since 2016, SRH reached the playoff stage on each occasion. They won it once. They were finalist once. They finished third in the last year. So on what basis you will drop Warner? Okay, form might fade. That can happen. I think in one of the editions he missed because of he was banned for the
2018.
But at that point, Kane captained the team. But still, at this point, Kane Williamson in your team, or will you have David Warner in your team? I have just one spot left in my team. I'll pick David Warner.
That also makes sense. Absolutely.
And again,
so I'm just asking you guys. Under normal circumstances, do you think Kane Williamson's spot in the SRH first choice 11 is secured?
Nikhil, would you like to go first?
I mean, I think so, because my answer is more based towards the SRH structure of the batting lineup, right? There's no middle order. There's literally no middle order. There's no way to get around it. You add Kane Williamson at number 3 or number 4, let's say number 4, and then he gives that stability. My issue with not having Kane Williamson is that they will lose more matches than they will win from winning situations. Because if you don't have that stability, they'll eventually lose matches. Now, I don't mean to say that they should remove Warner though. What they did was they got Mohammad Nabi in there, and with Mohammad Nabi, what you're going to get is 4 overs of good bowling and pinch hitting at the end. He's not a reliable batsman. He's not going to see through 12 overs of the innings, right? So if you are going to do that, you should first of all bowl him for 4 hours, which they didn't do. Which they
Absolutely.
didn't do when he came in. And second of all, again, the batting collapsed in that innings as well. So there was no stability for someone. Although Kane Williamson was there, but now imagine David Warner having a good start at top. It was a flat pitch. There were runs to be made. Why would you drop Warner? Like, if there was ever a pitch, that Delhi pitch was it, right? Like, it is as good as batting on a highway. Ambati Raidu is like scoring runs for fun. Pollard is scoring what, 20, 80 of whatever, 20.
Yeah, 30 odd balls.
That is ridiculous batting. So that is the pitch you play David Warner, because he can just play his game. Now, if he fails after that, then you maybe think about it. If they dropped him on a Chennai pitch, when a spinning Chennai pitch where the batting was tough, I would probably get it, because Kane is more technically sound as a spin player maybe. But if you're dropping him on a flat track in Delhi, that there was no logic behind it. They got in Nabi. He didn't bowl 4 overs. That is just, and I blame the SRH management for a bit of it, because at the end of the day, although Kane's captaincy was pretty bad in that game, let's not even like try to hide it.
Absolutely. So
but the management should be stepping in there.
Yeah, I was actually surprised when Kane Williamson opted to have Nabi bowl after the 14th over, and at that moment, Josh Butler was all guns blazing. So that is where I thought that it was a tactical blunder on the side of Kane Williamson, something that which we are not used to seeing of him. I would say.
But that again goes to the team management as well, right? So if you have a team plan before you come out to bowl or field, and it's not on the day, it's a day before, like when your bowler, like he probably bowled Rashid thinking that he can get Butler out within the first 11 overs. That failed, but that is a tweak which you make during the match. But bowling Nabi in the 14th over, that's not a blunder. That is a blunder actually from the team management to not even have that in the plans. So you have clear rules for everyone. There was no role for Nabi. There is a clear role for Warner. You didn't play him. So who do you even blame after that? So it's a very, and again, like coming back to the management, Sandipan, what did you make of Manish Pandey being dropped though? With no middle order, first of all, you drop Manish Pandey. What was the thought process behind that? Could you justify that drop though?
It was hard, of course. But I understand that Manish Pandey is probably their best Indian batting option, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They invested on Manish Pandey. They never tampered with his number 3 position for the past few years. But they did not have the similar sort of performance from a senior player like Manish Pandey. But poor Virat Singh, it was unfortunate that in Chennai he got to bat in the middle order. He's a fantastic batsman. I know him. I have been following him since his early days. He is a fantastic middle order batsman. But on that Chennai pitch, it was just unfortunate that he got to bat in Chennai. I'm sure he should have batted in at Wankhede, at Ahmedabad, at any other venue than Chennai. He would have done much better.
Yes.
But in hindsight, dropping Manish may look harsh from outside, but it was needed to give him a wake up call. So
and he played well when he came back as well.
Exactly.
But I never really understood the logic behind Manish Pandey opening with Johnny Bairstow in.
There's no logic. There is no logic. Let's not try to find out.
He's not an opener. See, I was actually entertained by the thought that Abdul Samad might open with Johnny Bairstow. And I was absolutely fine with it. That's a deadly lethal combination if both batsmen are in form. But Manish Pandey opening with Johnny Bairstow is something that I never really understood, because then
when you're chasing 220 as well.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. I have a question for both of you guys. So I was just thinking about it. See, we have discussed about when can possibly, let's say, BCCI finish the IPL. Also, there are reports that the Indian board is mulling a September window. But I have 2 concerns here. One is the situation outside. We can only hope that it improves, but things can go otherwise also. Secondly, a lot of international cricket is scheduled to be played from this month's end, as we discussed earlier. and we might see, overseas players pulling out due to the biobubble fatigue. Like, there's Ashes towards the end of this year. So both England and Australia would want their best players fresh and raring to go.
Yeah.
So Sandipan, I'm going to start with you and your thoughts on this.
Look, at this point, IPL, the only window I can see for the IPL is in the UAE pre or post the World T20.
Yes.
Because I think that World T20 will be shifted to UAE. So because, and also logistically, if you look at it, the official broadcaster will be the same for both the tournaments. Their setup will be there. All the major players will be there for the World T20. So they are
Sandipan, you also will be there.
I don't know. As of now, I don't know.
Yeah, we aren't sure of the media, whether the media would be present.
Yeah, especially the Indian media will be allowed or not. So I don't know. The thing is, that's the only window. But your point is very much justified, that whether the player will be able to take that biobubble fatigue anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, the India-England will be playing a series. India-England bilateral series. Australia, I think Australia's, do they have any assignment?
Australia, yes, I think they are supposed to play a couple of series. I think one is against Australia, one is against Sri Lanka, and the other I'm not sure of. I think it's I'm not so sure, but I think it is West Indies, and it's just a limited over series for now. But as I said earlier, that most of the teams do have one or two series to play. After the
but depends on which countries. I am sure that if they are playing in Australia, I don't think there will be strict biobubble, right? I think Nikhil can confirm.
And if it's in Australia, they'll probably not have a strict biobubble, because by the time they come back, it will be normal.
For the Ashes, if you see, for the Ashes, are you expecting a strict biobubble or just normal 15-day
quarantine? Just normal.
And then
just normal.
Life?
No, just normal, because it'll probably be like a strict quarantine when the team lands, the England team lands here for 15 days, like India had to do as well.
Yeah.
And then they can go out and stuff like that. It wouldn't be that strict, because we have had, so just 2 weeks ago, we had a game in MCG of Australian football where we had over 100 or 80 or 90,000 people there. So it's pretty much back to normal over here. So unless there is another breakout, which is really less likely here, because the protocols are pretty strict now. So I wouldn't think there would be a strict biobubble as such. So the fatigue part of it wouldn't be affected if when the Ashes is in Australia, for sure.
Yeah.
And for the UK, I guess for the UK things are pretty normal, but I think the Indian team will have a biobubble, not as strict as probably in India, but they will definitely have some sort of a biobubble. They will have.
Yes, absolutely. And I think as per the FTP, Australia are scheduled to tour West Indies in June and July, and then Pakistan are also scheduled to tour West Indies. So yeah, I think all of these teams would be playing some sort of international cricket. And let's say we have a couple of big series planned, like India are also I think scheduled to tour South Africa at the end of this year. Then we have the Ashes. I seriously think that, the participation of the likes of Josh Butler, maybe Josh Hazelwood, of course, he was replaced by Jason Barrendorf. But quite a few other players would be under, serious doubt, because, when the Ashes is there, both the boards would want, their best players to be fit.
But one report I read on social, I think on one of the websites, that BCCI might organize the IPL as a preparatory event for the World T20.
Yeah, which makes sense. In that case, you would want to participate, actually.
Yes, but would that be held in September, and then shortly after the IPL finishes, then it's going to be the World T20.
Exactly. So they just need a 20-day window for
finishing the tournament.
So there will be more double headers and all matches.
They can play 2 games in one day, and plus with the less travel, that shouldn't be a problem. So rather than playing every 3 days, they'll probably play every 2 days.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And in that case, it gives incentive for England, Australia, and other teams to come in, because then they can acclimatize themselves, know the conditions, and those are the World Cup and the World Cup following. Then you don't have that much of an issue. And plus, again, it wouldn't be a strict quarantine probably. Like it would be like last year. And if you have that incentive of being able to get that advantage going into the World Cup, you'd rather have it than not have it. So,
yes.
and then that time they can't drop Warner as well, because I don't think he's going to be too happy about that. So he would want to get back in form and get the poor form out of the way for SRH before Australia roll up. So, yeah.
All right. Okay, Sandipan, coming to you. So, who are the players who impressed you in the games that took place so far? You can tell both Indian and overseas.
Avish Khan, of course.
Yeah.
Chetan Sakaria. I think in my list, these are the two players who have impressed me the most. Overseas, I was very, very much waiting to see Finn Allen, but unfortunately he did.
Yeah, I think he's with RCB.
Yeah, he's with RCB, and he's a fantastic opener from New Zealand. I think he was a backup from Glenn Maxwell, but the way Glenn Maxwell 2.0 performed this year, it was like I mean, what would rather say? Look at the front. I think we should think about the Punjab franchise. They let this player go, and he just had a blast. What a performance! I mean, Glenn Maxwell in his new role, I think he was very impressive. Moeen Ali, Chennai's power hitter, Moeen Ali. Chennai, actually, we thought that they will use Sam Curran as one of their premier power hitters, but actually they used Moeen Ali more. And the way he performed, I think that was another
I think having Moeen Ali at number 3 was a masterstroke by
absolutely.
Only Dhoni could do it, right? Only Dhoni.
Only Dhoni could do it.
Yeah.
I mean, Moeen Ali seems like a different player altogether in that yellow jersey.
Yeah.
So,
I honestly, before the IPL started, right, I don't think, at least personally, I didn't think that Moeen Ali was going to do much. Like, I didn't have much expectations. I thought he would get like a usual 1 or 2 good games, but then the way he took the IPL by storm, I think he was probably the most standout player, because even with Maxi, right, like you have that expectation that Maxwell is going to do this. So when he does it, you're like, okay, he's playing to his potential. With Moeen Ali, he did things like you couldn't believe, and the way he was playing as well. So the way he plays is like so uncomplicated. You see the ball, you hit it. I will hit it as hard as I can. When I'm bowling, I'll bowl to the stumps. And he had a very good partnership with Jadeja as well when the bowling came, like in terms of bowling partnership, that was a very good one as well. Yeah. So I think if I had to pick my standouts, I think Moeen Ali would be one, because he proved me wrong, and I don't like to be proved wrong, but in this case he was really, really worthy of getting all the credit he is getting right now. And Avish Khan as well. I think that's he's one name which really stood out. And a part of it was helped by Delhi playing as a team so well, because then you get that confidence as well, right? Like maybe like with Chetan Sakaria, if Chetan Sakaria was in Delhi, you'd probably be even more impressed by him. Absolutely. Because the team would do good. So now you have that wickets, and you have those runs to play with. Like with Delhi, right? Like you have that a batting lineup which could put up big targets. Now the other team is under pressure. Or if they are batting earlier, that Shikhar Dhawan, Rishabh Pant, Shaw coming out. So they are trying to build a big total, which will give Avesh Khan and his fellow bowlers more chance of getting a wicket. It was exactly the opposite for Chetan, and still he did well, which makes it that much more impressive. But overall, I think from an Indian perspective, it was really good to see in those small space of matches that there is a lot of talent there, which is not even close to its peak, but they could go toe to toe with the best players in the world. And Avesh Khan especially because for him, it was, if he didn't perform well, there were people behind him, he could have easily taken his spot.
Umesh
Maybe
Yadav,
not
he
a-
kept Umesh Yadav in the
Exactly.
in the bench.
Yes.
He kept Umesh
Yeah,
Yadav.
Umesh Yadav, Ishant Sharma at times he kept.
Ishant Sharma was injured earlier.
Oh, was he?
Early
Okay.
on,
Yeah. But still, if maybe he didn't perform, he could have lost his place to Umesh Yadav. Again, that's the thing, right? Like if with Chetan Sakaria, probably again, that might not have been the case because there was not much replacement option. But overall, those two in particular, in terms of, and we are not even mentioning Harshal Patel here. That's
Oh my God!
after 17 wickets.
Of course.
Yeah, so that shows the depth which we are talking about, because let's face it, Bumrah had those few good matches, but he didn't actually tear up the batting lineups as he usually does, right? He probably would have in the second half of the season. Bumrah is Bumrah, right? Probably the best in the world. So without him, if the Indian bowling attack is looking that good, so that is a very promising sign for us, at least as a Indian cricket team fan, and the T20 World Cup coming up and the next World Cup coming up. So it's like really exciting.
Yeah.
Who would
even we should mention about Prithvi Shaw as well.
Oh yeah.
Prithvi Shaw Dhawan partnerships.
Yeah.
That was
Prithvi Shaw is really learning a lot from Ponting, isn't he? Like that, having that mentorship.
And Praveen Amre also.
Praveen Amre, of course, obviously. Who could forget Praveen Amre, right? Yeah, but who would you pick, Sidharth, like in terms of your standout performers from the few matches which we have had?
Yeah, so I was pretty impressed by Avesh Khan. Mohammad Siraj also did well, and I think it's Mohammad Siraj's death bowling has improved significantly. And at the very same time, there's this one player whose form has added another dimension to our discussion here, and that's Shikhar Dhawan. When I say this dimension in a context, so India now currently have 4 openers who could, potentially slot in that T20 World Cup squad. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Shikhar Dhawan, and KL Rahul. Who do you really go with?
Who do you not go with? That's the important part. How are you going to go to KL Rahul and tell him that no, you're not going to be opening? How are you going to go to Shikhar Dhawan and say no, you're not going to be opening? How? It's just, you can't. Is there even a solution to it? Like maybe move Kohli back to number 3. That's the only solution, and squeeze one of them.
But then where do you slot in Surya Kumar Yadav, the Indian 360 player? I would say the 360-degree player. Seriously, he has to be there. He has to slot in.
Absolutely. Yeah. Probably in Shreyas Iyer's place will be taken by Surya.
Possibly. Yeah, but again, all this could easily change if we have an IPL in September. Because then the element of form will come into play as well. So because right now, as of today, you will probably see, I would probably go with Shikhar Dhawan, Rohit Sharma as openers, and Kohli number 3, Surya Kumar Yadav at number 4, or KL Rahul, maybe split it between them, 3 and number 4 and 5. And then the rest, Hardik Pandya.
Then Rishabh, let's not forget.
Oh my God, Rishabh Pant. Okay. We have too many options here. I didn't even think of Rishabh Pant.
Do you want to, rework your playing 11 now?
No, I don't want to. I'm just going to give up. It's not possible. It's not possible. Like,
you cannot put Rishabh Pant at number 6, right? So Rishabh needs to bat at number 5 or 4.
Yeah. One thing is absolutely clear. See, of course, you are going to have an opening combination. It might be Rahul Kohli, or Rahul Rohit, or maybe Rohit and Kohli. But at the very same time, I think one thing that there's a mistake that they should not repeat. What they basically did in the 2019 World Cup is going in with just 5 bowlers. You need a maximum of 6 bowlers here. So let's say, for example, a hypothetical situation that Rohit and Virat Kohli are opening in the T20 World Cup. Then you have Surya Kumar Yadav at 3, then Rishabh Pant coming in at 4. And then I think most likely maybe one more batsman at number 5. And then from 6 onwards, you have Hardik Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja, a couple of fast bowlers and a couple of spinners. So you need, I think, at least 6 bowling options, because see, none of our batsmen actually bowl. And in the 2019 World Cup, we saw that even Hardik Pandya wasn't at his 100% while bowling. So this is where I feel that you need 6 bowling options at least. What do you think of this? Sandipan, let's start with that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they need, and imagine if the tournament is happening in UAE, then you need that kind of, and I don't think someone like Hardik Pandya will be much more effective. Yeah, he can bowl those odd 2-3 overs in the middle, but he won't be much more effective. Either you need to have that extra pace, which Rabada, Nokia those people showed in the last tournament, last IPL.
Yeah.
So we have Shami and Bumrah for that job, and or you need some excellent spinners. Even I would rather, if the tournament happens in UAE, I would rather pick Ashwin ahead of Washington Sundar.
That's a brilliant move. I would say that's a bloody genius move. I would also go with R. Ashwin. See, the one thing that
Can trouble both the right-handers and left-handers, whereas we have seen that Washington Sundar is bowls better against left-handers, but against right-handers sometimes Kohli doesn't even use him. But that can be solved if we can pick someone like Ashwin ahead of Washington Sundar.
But Sandipan, just one question to you, Nikhil, before we come to you. See, I am all, I'm all in favor of having R. Ashwin ahead of maybe one of our spinners, either it is Chahal or maybe Kuldeep Yadav, because both, currently our spinners aren't bowling well. But at the very same time, let's say Kohli has, particularly focused on fitness since the time he has taken over the captaincy. And yes, R. Ashwin's fitness is good, but it is on par with the likes of, maybe you can say, Surya Kumar Yadav, or maybe, any of the other bowlers that are currently in the Indian team, maybe Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav. So that is where would he still be tempted to have maybe someone like R. Ashwin, because fitness is definitely a very important parameter to get into this Indian 11, be it across any format.
Yeah, but Ashwin is not one fielder which you need to hide on the field, right? Which probably someone like Kuldeep Yadav is. So and his 4 overs, especially on those UAE conditions, will matter a lot. Yeah. Especially in the power play. He's a good bowler with the new ball in the. So overall, as a package, if he will chip in as a batsman, I know that Washington Sundar will chip in as a batsman. But if we see overall package, I will pick Ashwin.
Yeah, absolutely. Nikhil, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably. First of all, I wouldn't go with Kuldeep Yadav for sure. That's the only sure choice I have for now. But I think Bumrah, a lock, you can't change that. Maybe Shami as well, you can't change that. Hardik Pandya, though, would you guys play him as a batsman?
As an all-rounder. Hardik Pandya has...
No, not as an all-rounder. He can't bowl. Let's assume he can't bowl. Would you pick him as a batsman?
By that time, I think he will be bowling fit, right? In fact, Hardik bowled quite a few good overs against England in one of the T20 series.
Yes. So see, Hardik Pandya has earlier said that he is preserving his bowling for the important series and tournaments. So let's say, assuming the fact that if he's able to bowl in the T20 World Cup, then it's fine. It's absolutely fine. But if he is not, then, let's say if I am the selector, then I would have some reservation of him including in the 11, because see, you need 6 bowlers, you need multiple bowling options. And let's say, if one of the bowlers has gone for 45 or 50 odd runs in 3 overs, you can't really just give him that last over. Exactly. And that is, the momentum could very well, the momentum has already, gone away from your end, and it could actually slip, completely. So that is where I think you need multiple bowling options. And definitely that is where Hardik Pandya's role would be under scanner, provided he's not bowling. Yeah,
I would probably, like with Jadeja, if you team him up with Ashwin, right? So you have your 8 overs blocked there. You don't need to think. They will deliver more often than not. They'll give you like 8 overs between them. It will be like around 60 runs max, a couple of wickets, 3 wickets or something. So that's locked with Ashwin and with Bumrah and Shami as well. You have the other 8 overs locked. So those are the last 4 overs though. So now if you think about it, you could either add Chahal in there as your spinner, or you could split Hardik's overs between the 3 spinners. Let's say one of the let's say Chahal, Ashwin and Jadeja, if all 3 of them can fill in for Hardik, then that would be the best case scenario, because Hardik as a batsman, as a finisher, I don't think there is anyone else who's doing that job right now. We don't have that anyone in that mold. Maybe if you put Rishabh Pant at number 4 and he's batting till the end, he could explode. But you need Hardik for that. You need Jadeja could help. Ashwin will not give you that. So, and even Washington Sundar will not be the explosive power, right? Even if you play him, there's no. So what Hardik does, nobody else does. Maybe Pant, maybe Jadeja, but I would rather trust Hardik than the Jadeja to do it. So it's in terms of a team setup, have him as a batsman who can bowl rather than having him as an all-rounder who is going to bowl four. So that would be my ideal role for Hardik. Give him that option of bowling just 2 overs. If he's bowling well, he'll continue to bowl his four and someone else will not. So that's how I see Hardik in the setup. But again, would the pitches in UAE be friendly to play 3 spinners, first of all, in a team? That's my question.
See, if it is Sharjah, I don't really think so. But if you're playing in maybe Dubai or Abu Dhabi, it could be. See, Abu Dhabi is initially let's say if it has that green tinge, then pacers would definitely have a big role to play. But I think at the very same time, sometimes you really have to just take that pitch thing out of consideration and just stick to your strengths. And India's strength, if I have to make that T20 World Cup squad, there isn't really a weakness because the bench strength is pretty scary, and you have many options for one slot. And that is where I think India do have a lot of firepower across all their departments. So yeah, I think it's possibly just going to be good to stick to your strengths. Let's say, if I have to take the example of the 2015 World Cup that was held in Australia, I think India was possibly the only team going with the 2 spinners, R. Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja. Else, I think most of the teams were, going in with maybe 4 pacers and 1 spinner. So that is where I think India are more or less, known to stick to their strengths. So yeah, I think that's a good way to go.
Who would be the third seamer though, in case, let's say, it's a seaming pitch? It's one thing to say that we should stick to our strengths, but playing 3 spinners might be taking it a bit overboard on a green pitch, right? So if you have to pick a third seamer,
there is Siraj who did well in the last IPL on those kind of wickets.
So you would go with Siraj, Sandipan? You will go with Siraj for the third place?
On current form, yes. On current form, I'll go with Siraj.
My personal choice would be T. Natarajan if he is fit.
That is another option. Yes,
that would be. I like left armers by default actually, so I'm a bit biased with Natarajan. I like left arm,
and he can come in the depth. He can be more effective than probably someone like Sami. More effective than Sami in the depth. So, but depends on the conditions. Depends on the
That's like you said, Sidharth, it's like the bench strength is really scary. If you are keeping T. Natarajan, if you're keeping Kuldeep Yadav, you are going to keep KL Rahul.
We haven't
even their own team and play as Indian B.
Bhuvaneshwar Kumar who did fantastically well against England.
Oh yes,
well. See, this is exactly the moment I'm really happy I don't have the Indian selectors or team selection job.
Now also you have Navdeep Saini who's currently warming the benches. We haven't seen the best of him. So let's say if he starts to bowl well, then
India could literally play 2 teams, couldn't they? And both could probably make the semi-finals or something. Like if you put Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli to open here and open with KL Rahul and Shikhar Dhawan on the other side. Put Ambati Rayudu in there. Put who else is missing from?
Mayank
Agarwal is there. Mayank Agarwal. Who else? There is
Prithvi Shaw.
Prithvi Shaw. And the bowlers, at least there are like so many. You can't even. So you could put Chahal and Kuldeep into one team if you want.
Actually, we might see an second straight Indian team. We might see a second straight Indian team in this year's Asia Cup, which will take place in Sri Lanka.
Probably.
Yes, possible.
Yeah. When is the Asia Cup though?
It's July.
June,
July,
They'll probably definitely, because I think it's just for the mental aspect of it, like less giving people some rest mentally and physically as well. They'll probably give and people deserve a chance, because based on that they could actually make the T20 World Cup squad as well if they perform really well. So that's going to be an interesting Asia Cup.
You might see someone like Rahul captaining the team, or even we might see Surya captaining the team.
Yes. Had Shreyas Iyer been fit, I think he would
Yeah.
have been the
He would
captain
have. He
of
would
that
have
team.
captain.
Yes.
Yeah. When is he recovering though? Is it a 3-month gap, right? So
There is
would
no
it
there's
be?
no fixed timeline, I think, on his recovery. So he
Yeah.
might
I
take
think I
around 3 to
remembered
6
it was
months.
3 months. I don't know if it is more than 3 months though. If it's 3 months, he could. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If it's 3 months and it's April, May, and June, if it's at the end of the year, end of the month of July, he could actually squeeze in. But yeah, because I like him as a captain. He has like,
Yes.
he has a cricketing brain. At least I feel he does. He still has to prove it. But Asia Cup would have been something which I personally would have wanted him to captain and just see how we go, because that's the future, and we have to train people moving forward. So yeah, that could be a good, interesting tournament for sure, though. Yeah.
Yes. Sandipan, I just wanted to confirm one thing, although I do not have an update on this thing. So, is there any update on Shreyas Iyer's, county stint with Lancashire, or let's say the Royal London One Day Cup stint with Lancashire? Because I'm not so sure whether he's going to be participating in that.
Initially, when I think he got injured, I think after 4 months he was supposed to. Royal London Cup starts probably next month.
Yeah.
I think he will,
I think,
if he's fit, he will play some of those games, some of their games.
All right. All right. All right.
Yeah, and that would be a good test for him as well. If he is coming back to that, like something to play in England, that would be a really good test for him mentally, and in terms of like getting back to form, he can improve his skills. So that would be interesting, though.
And I think he will be part of, if he is fit, he will be part of the India Ace team, which will be in England. And probably before the 5-test series, India will play some of their practice games against India A.
No, I think, but that is cancelled now, because what you are saying, that was supposed to happen earlier, but that's not the update. I'll just confirm it because I read it somewhere that.
Okay, then I am not updated then. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just confirm it because.
So India was supposed to play India A itself.
India A,
Yeah, yeah.
India A's tour of England has been postponed. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Okay.
So I think that's about it from our end. And do like, subscribe to our channel Cricket Spectacle for future shows on cricket. So until then, on behalf of Nikhil Deshpande and Sandipan Banerjee, it's Sidharth Gulati saying goodbye.
Yeah.